In the wake of recent terrorist attacks in California and Paris, the U.S. House this week passed the Visa Waiver Program Improvement Act of 2015 to strengthen security against the possibility of another act of terrorism. Earlier, I spoke with Oklahoma 5th District Congressman Steve Russell about that issue and how the country should strike a balance between preventing terrorist attacks while still protecting civil liberties. Congressman Russell, thank you so much for being with us today. I'd like to begin straight off the bat by having you talk about the Visa Waiver Program Improvement Act. Can you explain what that is and what the improvement means and why it's important?
Well, it's very important because what a lot of Americans don't understand when they look at the immigration issue or people that are entering this country, they're very concerned about threats and terror. But there's things that we can go after where the threat is, and then there's harm that we could do in trying to address an issue, and we don't want to do that. Well, the United States, we have biometric passports. We have extensive databases when we apply for our passports. We have intelligence sharing with Interpol, and we share information on our travelers that we have suspicion on for criminal activity or terror activity. We expect the same thing from these other countries. And the problem that we've had is that not all of the countries that have entered the program have kept their end of the bargain. So the visa waiver reforms now will require these things. So what we're trying to do is go after where we are really vulnerable rather than cast a net so wide to go after a few sharks. We scoop up schools of dolphins that we don't need to be. And that's where I was very, very concerned that we didn't turn away those that were trying to flee terror.
I was going to say, how do you combat an atmosphere of fear in this nation when you have a GOP presidential candidate Donald Trump talking about denying immigration to all Muslims? How do you combat that as a Republican?
Well, as an American, let's just do it that way first. We've got people on the extreme left that want to give up our Second Amendment liberties. We've got people on the extreme right that want to give up our First Amendment liberties. I'm not willing as an American to do anything other than defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I've been doing it since I was 18, and I don't care what the polls say or what some pundit says or what some candidate says. We have to protect the constitutional liberties that we possess as Americans.
On November 18th, you made some comments on the House floor. I'd like to read one sentence of them back. You said, "America is a lamp that lightens the horizon of civilized and free mankind. The Statue of Liberty cannot have a stiff arm." Were people surprised that you would make such an inclusive comment as considered a conservative Republican?
Well, I think people were surprised, but I think as people watched my remarks on the floor, both on the conservative and liberal sides, they were moved by my comments, and it created a broader discussion. And we've been able to reshape the debate now to go after the threats instead of, casting such a wide net that we end up damaging our civil liberties.
All right. Congressman Steve Russell, thank you so much for being with us today.
Well, thank you, Susan. I appreciate it.